So 48 hours ago, I got my hands on a completely sold out Fujifilm X100V. This is by far the most popular camera with photographers at the moment, both new and pro. It is sold out everywhere, both online and in person. Even if you were to buy this camera used, it's going to cost you 20% more than a new one. So the natural question is why? Is it worth it? What makes it so great? And do you want one? Well, I've spent the last 48 hours shooting on this thing like crazy, and this is what I've come up with. 5 reasons that I believe this is the best camera ever made, but it cannot be your only camera. So, welcome back everybody. Sorry for missing last week. I get married in 6 days and that is quite stressful. So if you haven't heard about this camera, this is a Fujifilm X100V. It's a point and shoot camera with a fixed lens. It can literally fit in your pocket and it comes in right around, I think, $1,500. I literally had to buy it on eBay for $200 more than a new one cost. I'm not gonna run you through boring stats or things you could find on the internet. I'm gonna talk about what this camera felt like to shoot on and what the actual results look like that I got back. Because that, my friends, is photography. Number 1, what does the camera actually feel like in your hands? What's the build quality and design like? Well, if you notice, this camera is actually very, very similar to a Leica. So if I were to switch this lens and take that off, this is a $15,000 Leica, and this is a $1,500 Fujifilm X100V. They look the same. This and the Leica's body style is called a rangefinder because you actually look through the glass and not through the lens. I really, really love the size and build of this camera for 2 reasons. 1, it gives you the experience of shooting on a film camera. All of your settings, your shutter speed, your ISO, your aperture, it is all on the exterior of the camera. You can look down at your camera and quickly and accurately see your settings. Second reason is the size of this camera. You can put this camera in your front freaking pocket. I have always said that the best camera that you have is the one in your pocket, and everyone figured I was talking about an iPhone. I was not. Moving on to section 2. Does it connect me to the actual subject I'm taking photos of? Yes, and here's why. Because of the size and simplicity of this camera, it is unobtrusive. Like, it is not aggressive looking to someone who's afraid of getting their picture taken. Furthermore, because the autofocus is so fast, you can pull this camera out, take a picture before someone's even noticed. I've literally done this like 20 times this week, whether it be to my dog or a friend. You can almost use this camera like a disposable camera, especially when you turn the flash on. And oh my God, we'll get into that because the creativity it gives you is incredible. You can tell I'm obviously passionate, but this camera is very special. If you had to sum up this camera, you would call it the memory maker. This camera allows you to steal real moments from time from real people. It's huge, it's game changing, and if you've never experienced that type of authenticity, it is completely addicting. Now, the third reason that this is the best camera ever made in my mind is the creative process that it gives you. While this looks like a simple camera, this is actually one of the most technologically advanced cameras that you will probably ever use. Here's why. This camera has film simulations, and a lot of the old film that we're actually trying to replicate was made by Fujifilm. Fujifilm has taken some of the most popular film looks and film colors from history and loaded them into this camera digitally. You can literally turn your wheel, find the film that you like, and start shooting. Even better, there are websites on the internet completely dedicated to giving you film recipes so that you can go look through all of these different colors and styles and find the one you like and load up to 10 of them on your camera at a time. Well, imagine if that final Lightroom image is what you saw on the back of your camera while you were shooting. It is absolutely mind-blowing, game-changing, and most important of all, fun. So motivating. It makes you feel like you're a real photographer, no matter your level. It's just an incredible experience to take a photo, look at it, and go, fuck yeah, like that is exactly what I wanted. But it goes even a step further. Not only can you change the film simulation you were using, but then you can go even further and tweak. You can change the contrast, saturation, sharpness, color tint, anything you could imagine You can edit the entire image in the camera itself. I'm like exhausted with how excited I am about this. It just makes photography fun again. And that actually touches on our fourth topic, which is the joy of photography. We just nailed it, right? This freaking camera is the joy of photography. Every other camera behind me on this wall is more expensive than this camera. Every lens on that wall is more expensive than this camera, but this camera is constantly what I will choose to shoot on over any of that. That shit stresses me out, and this thing unlocks my creativity. Now, fifth and finally, let's talk about the results. What do the photos actually look like that you've been taking? Well, the truth is all of the photos that I've been showing you throughout this video, along with all of the ones that are going here and all the ones for the rest of the video, those are unedited. Those are straight out of camera. I didn't even try to make them look good. For most of them, I literally just went like that and clicked a button, and that is what I got lucky enough to capture. This camera's results are incredible. Now, if you are a professional photographer shooting campaigns, would you want to use this camera? Probably not, because it doesn't have that much versatility and it doesn't necessarily have that super professional look. What this camera does have in spades is that memory look. It has a nostalgia to it. Honestly, this camera has just blown me away. Now, we do need to get into a couple negatives about this camera just so you're super informed before you make any decision. The app for this camera absolutely blows. It is the worst app I've ever used in my life, which is a shame. If the app was working the way it should, one of the coolest features of this camera is when you turn it off, it'll automatically send all the photos to your phone. But I can't even get it to connect to my phone when I'm trying, let alone by itself. The app, absolutely shit. The second negative is while it is an affordable entry-level camera, it's still by no means cheap. And the fact that you can't upgrade the lens or make it adapt to shoot other projects that you need, it unfortunately limits this camera to kind of like a personal memory capturing camera. It's as close to a film camera as I've ever gotten. And I think that is the magic of this camera. Oh, not only can you use it as a rangefinder looking through the window, but if you turn that knob right there, it's now an electronic viewfinder and you're looking at a screen. You can tell your exposure, you can see your color, and it's just like a normal DSLR. The batteries lasted me all day. I mean, it shoots 4K video with the film simulation still on it. I just didn't even get to it in the last 48 hours because I was having so much fun taking photos. Honestly, I'm just blown away. Everything about this camera is an absolute dream. The only downside to this camera is that you can't find it. You literally, even if I convinced you and you're like, this is the camera for me, you can't buy it right now. It's just sold out. It sucks. So with that being said, I want to hear from you. Are you excited about this camera, or do you have this camera? What are your thoughts? What are your concerns? What would you want to use it for, or what are you currently loving about it? I'd love to hear from you guys. The Fujifilm X100V, ladies and gentlemen, possibly the best camera that's ever been made.